This is the first time I've seen this particular transition, and I have it bookmarked in my own brain to say, could this ever result in a real transition with a resisting opponent? And I don't know. I'd be curious to try it. But what we see here is a headlock that's willfully abandoned immediately just to switch to that hammerlock from behind. And he's doing it with speed and mobility with a bit of deception. So, why might someone do this? Headlocks are pretty limited beyond the playground. It's not that I haven't seen people slap on a headlock in real life and rain down blows on someone, but even when they do that, they're usually hitting the hard part of someone's skull, right? So this style of headlock is more useful when it's transitioned either into a bulldog choke, which can choke someone out unconscious, or when it's used as a drag down into like a scarf hold or head and arm pin or whatever you want to call it. But here, he's not even going down that direction. He's faking like he's going to do a big headlock hip throw or even just a headlock. He's getting the guy to brace against that, and he's immediately slickly as shit going to this hammerlock from behind. And frankly, I just thought it was pretty. I have no idea how realistic such a thing is, but it seems potentially feasible if you get good at it, right? And if I were a lot younger in my grappling career, here I am at 40 years old, this would have been the kind of thing that I would have tried when I was a lot more nimble and spry. But again, watching it, it does not seem totally unfeasible. This looks like something that someone could invest time in and get good at. Am I crazy about the way he holds the hammerlock afterwards? No, he's not exerting any other kind of control, and he should. But again, this is for a scripted match, so pretty much everything after that slick transition is just on purpose, not applying a lot of pressure, because you're supposed to chain punishment holds together and escapes together and keep the sequence going between entertainment athletes here. That's the whole idea in these scripted matches, is like you just keep the action going. You're very rarely ever supposed to pin someone in a way that they can't get out of, unless it's actually one of the scripted pin moments. Usually all these pins are done with a lot of deliberate pins and holds, I should say, are done with a lot of deliberate looseness and some theatrical cranks from time to time where there's isolated moments where it's supposed to be like, oh, the agony, right? And that's good for entertainment value. It like that in a very larger than life way. It allows spectators, even all the way back in the stands, to say, oh, look, we're being treated to a spectacle of pain and punishment. But, that's obviously a stark contrast to realistic grappling, where when you get a hold or a pin, you intend to keep it right up until you've either incapacitated the person by choking them unconscious or breaking a limb, or if you've merely intended to hold them down until they are convinced it's a good time to chill out, or until, like, let's say cops come or some other backup comes or whatever. But for the scripted entertainment match, obviously he's keeping it loose on purpose. But my challenge to people who do ever want to try a transition like this is to say, hey, how can you seal it up so that hammerlock can become a realistic finish? And one of my answers is the other hand turns it into a hip lock grip, or turns it into a rear naked choke with one arm grip. There's several different ways you can lock it up into something more realistic and potentially crank on someone's shoulder to the point of tapping out or breaking it or whatever. It's not shown in this video, obviously, but that's for viewers and other people digesting this stuff to kind of reinsert their own realism onto, if they even determine that this particular theatrical sequence has a nugget of realism in it, which for my money, I think it could, with some tweaks.